Good evening, March 14th, Capital Improvement Society. Missing is Kim Stacy Horn, Selectman and Liaison to this committee. So we're coming down the final stretch of putting what we have found, to put it together in a form to make a report. And that's going to be a lot of tonight's discussion, is what form we're going to put this in, and a final conclusion. And our final conclusion, before the report, but how we get to our final conclusion is we have to look at everything everybody's asked for. And as far as I know, we are going to be called before the Warrant and Finance Committee to discuss what we're asking for. And I think what we have to do, and you know, we all have to agree to do this, is come up with a sum of money that we feel is reasonable to put in a capital improvement fund. There are several, and Joe, I think you got one of these. There are several, the thing I gave you, and I know you got one. There are several capital improvement accounts there. There is Simple Capital Improvement Fund, which has $33,574 and change. The Acton Rec at $24,404. Dams Capital, I love that, the Dam Capital Improvement, $10,000. Bridge and Culvert Capital Improvement, $100,003.80, for a total of $168,000. Now, again, as I put here, that does not include any of the capital, the carry forward accounts or the reserve accounts. So excluding the capital improvement funds, it's $846,553 for a total of over $1 million, either in reserve funds or capital funds. Mr. Long is here from Warrant and Finance, and if he agrees or disagrees with us?
Oh, I agree.
Okay.
I agree with everything.
Oh, good grief, Charlie Brown. So what we have to do is look at what we have. I think, Joe, what we're going to have to do is now have a discussion. We'll look at these things. We have talked to everybody. We've had some committees came in. Rec department came in, and I think we learned from the rec department. And I think we need to separate a little bit out of the rec department. I know we've talked about a community center. I think that should be would you agree, a separate issue? Good. I'm glad you agree with that. Because,
Well, it's down the road.
well, it is, but that's capital improvement. You know, off the top of my head, Joe, I would say capital improvement, look for 10 years out.
Yeah.
You want to have $10 million to build a community center.
And that's the whole point, is so
And
that
that's
we
the
can
whole
put
point
these
of
things
this.
on the horizon,
Yeah.
so that at least it's able to be in front of somebody if they want to look ahead and say, you know,
Yeah.
what do we have that needs to be done?
You know, I mean,
It's on a list.
I don't know if I just said 10,000, but you need $10 million. Going by today's prices on a decent building, changing,
If I may, the town of Wakefield
yeah,
just voted down an article to build a new rec center, community center. So that's political.
yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know, 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 I don't I'm not sure the dimensions of it or anything, but it lost by 50 votes, and that was 5 million.
Yeah.
7.
So it started out at 7, and then they whittled it down.
Oh, they wouldn't look down?
They whittled it down to 5, yeah.
Because I thought everybody was for that thing. I thought that was a bill.
Yeah, but by 50 votes, that's a close margin.
Yeah.
But the thing is if you look, if they're saying between 5 and 7 today, I do have a little bit of experience with, where we lived before. Of course, it was over 20 years ago, but we built a youth center, not a community, but a youth center. And it started out probably in the early 90s as, oh, this is gonna cost $2 million. And by the time it was built, after I moved up here in the late 90s, the whole thing was $5 million, you know. So I can imagine if it's 5 to 7 today, saying $10 million in 10 years. Because I think what we should look at, and I want your input, please, we want a place that has changing rooms. We want a viable kitchen in there. We want a place that has a basketball court in there, so the kids can play. It can be used for other things. You know, now basketball courts are pickleball courts. You know, they're used for multi-purpose.
Sure.
And it can be used for seniors as well as, it can also be a source of income. It can be rented out, which means we would have to have a rec director who would have to be in charge of the building. So all of those things we need to talk about and put in over the next 2 weeks. And that's just for the community center. But if you look at the paperwork we have, I don't know, should we start with the fire department?
If we can just go down through the list on the thing you made.
Okay, but if you look at the fire department from the list that you put into a form for us, does anybody see anything that says they need, right now, how much money do they need put aside for capital improvement? Sort of now.
The only thing that said immediate on the data that I had was tanker 7.
We have tank, that's the new one, isn't it?
That's the one that's been on, or they've been waiting to get.
Right, my understanding is Chief Smith was going to either receive or make a phone call this month, to see, to find out when they'll take delivery on it. The only other one, I know they're having...
The other one was the brush truck.
The which one?
The brush truck.
Brush truck.
Because I interpreted it, it says replace when cost to maintain exceeds use.
Yeah.
So it's up in the air. I mean, it could break, it could,
How many miles on that? Do we have that?
I don't know. I didn't
Okay.
see that in my data, but, the only ones that we had dates for was, replacement of engine 1 in 2026 and replacement of the ALS unit in 2027.
What do we have for the communications there? Because I know they want a new telephone system.
I didn't have anything in
They don't
there.
have it on
I
there?
didn't have any, I had a list of what their current cost of those things are, of
Okay.
$2,800 for communication stuff.
All right, yeah, well,
I didn't
that's,
see any needs
right,
replacement, and it'll be this much type of thing.
yeah, and that's unfortunately what I came up with looking at this list.
And then they had for over on the right-hand side of the spreadsheet I made, they have the list of capital improvements
Yeah,
for the couple of engines in the building, and then capital maintenance for parking lot, windows, flooring, exhaust system, and exterior stairs on the training building.
Joe, are there exterior stairs on the training building?
I don't know, I'll be honest with you.
Mr. Long, do you know if there are exterior stairs on the training building?
I'm sorry.
Exterior stairs on the training building?
No,
There are not.
no, please.
Is the training building the other building?
Yeah, the old, that was built as an ambulance
Yeah.
building. Okay, I'm gonna, because we could go forever on this.
The reason is for that, in my understanding, is the upstairs doesn't meet the load requirements for the big people upstairs.
That's right.
Yeah, and there's no egress,
Right.
or proper egress, I guess one should say. So, looking at this and looking at the years that they've put down, I would think, and I am gonna kind of jump a little bit, that the new phone system they want, so we still have a couple of weeks, so we can ask Ricky. Let's say it doesn't really quite meet a capital need, because it's probably less than $5,000.
Gotcha.
The exterior stairs, staircase cost, Joe.
I mean, you could spend at least $5,000 with the way pressure treated is right now.
Okay, so say let's call that 5K. Oh, 25K, 2,500 for the phone system. So, I'm just, see if this exercise works. So I'm saying that for the fire department, we would need $7,500 put into capital improvement for them. That's them. Then we go on to ambulance. And they want the new striker bed, which is the automatic one. Evidently, what I've learned is they put you on the stretcher, they wheel you out, it pops up, but when they get you to the ambulance, that's when most EMTs get hurt, because they have to.
Yeah, they gotta muscle you in.
They gotta muscle you in, they gotta pick you up and muscle you in, where the new one goes up, it must hit somewhere in there, and it's on a hydraulic, goes up and it slides them in. And evidently there are more EMTs and paramedics hurt doing that than anything else. So, I think, that's something that, we need to look at as well. And that again is, another $5,000.
That will be in their budget this year.
That's gonna be in their budget?
Yeah.
If it's in their budget, I'm not gonna put it in capital improvement.
Right. No, it'll be in their budget this year.
Okay, very good. Then I'm not gonna do that.
You must just let them take it out.
Okay. Now, what we haven't said in any of this is, from your spreadsheet, I got, going back to the fire department then, they're saying that engine 1 will need to be replaced in 4 years. And back when we got this, the new replacement was between $500,000 and $600,000. So if we're gonna be planning on that, again, we need more money
Right.
set aside every year, like 100 grand set aside every year, or 125 grand for that. We're gonna spend more money than we've ever seen if we did all of this. So,
I think right now we're putting 75
right,
a year towards new apparatus.
yeah,
Okay.
But like George said, this engine one, I think we bought it back in the 80s.
They put 2003.
The engine one, 2003.
yeah, I remember when they bought that.
I remember a whole bunch of them.
But I'm not sure that was new when they bought it.
Probably not.
The original engine one was brand new,
Yeah,
but they might have changed, done away with the original engine one, and changed that, another one to engine one. I'm not
Gotcha.
sure.
right. So then if you look at just going up 10 years, so we're gonna go to 2032.
Okay. I mean, if you go to 2033, that encompasses all of their,
It does.
that's everything.
That's everything. So what number do we need? We know 75,000 a year is not gonna do it. 125, because we've got sort of 10,000 in smaller items, the phone system that they need.
Sure.
Well, stairs aren't small, that's an emergency safety issue. But,
You're creeping up on 1 million, or at 1 million, just with the
exactly,
vehicles.
yeah,
That's not included their capital improvement for engine 2, the building, and then the other capital maintenance
right.
stuff.
So taking all of that into consideration, we need a number. We need to bump their capital improvement up.
Right.
And,
Did Ricky put an estimated price for the new engine to replace engine one?
240 grand.
Road.
yeah,
That we just spent.
for engine one,
Just 500 to 600.
500 to 600,000 now.
Oh, was that off of the updated?
Yeah, that's the updated one, yeah.
Okay.
That was the number that I had a year ago.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I would think it'd be 750 anyway.
It could have been 5 to 6 last month, and 700, but we have to have a starting point.
Once you
Yeah.
go 1.4, 1.5 million, and that would encompass the whole, because you're gonna go, I'm thinking, looking on the high side, but, 600,000,
Yeah,
350,000, well, there's almost 1 million right there.
yeah,
Then you've got the utility one, your engine two,
right,
so you're approaching 1.5. There's anything about the forest you talked to?
Yeah, but you still need to have it all laid out, though. Now you come up with that 1.5.
yeah, well, we have,
Well, just add
yeah,
things up. It's more
we
than
have
that.
sort of an outline done,
Right.
showing all the numbers, and all of these, if you look at where we're gonna get our totals from, you can go back here and see with the spreadsheets, with what we've come up with, where that comes from.
Yeah, so you have a breakdown.
So it is a breakdown that we will have. But, I mean, I actually was, Joe's saying 1.5, I was saying, the number I had in mind was 1.25, so what do we think?
I think I was thinking 1.5. Because like I said, we're not even dipping into the other projects that they've got
Right,
for the building and the rest of the area.
right. Okay, and that's just that's just the fire department. Now, the next thing is building capital maintenance on our list. Okay, Joe, Dennis, 2. The paving of the parking lot is gonna be on this year's budget?
Yes,
Because it was on last year's, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay,
part of it was put on a reserve account, and they plan on, my understanding is from the Board of Selectmen, they're supposed to develop a plan on exactly what they want, and then we'll give them a price for exactly what they want.
okay.
They're planning on putting another 40,000 or so with it this year.
Then we don't have to remember, we don't have to be part of that as a capital improvement.
They're supposed to be putting it all together this year with this year's budget bills.
Okay. Now, we don't have to worry about either the window upgrades.
On the town hall.
Yeah, we got all new ones here. And like you said, the other thing the fire department needs is new windows, a replacement of their exhaust system, which is pretty important, but I think that 1.5 has to do it. The other thing they want, just so you know, is they would like solar panels. The other immediate thing they want, I'm sorry, I've jumped back to the fire department because I misread this. Besides the phone system is a data and reporting software system that is usable with an in-house radio alert system. They have, I think, 6 units. A call comes from Sanford over here, comes from Newfield over here, comes from Shapley, all different equipment. It's not integrated at all, so it's very,
Gotcha.
so that phone system is a big thing. But let's forget the fire department. Municipal properties, okay. Do we believe we're gonna get the side of the building done this year?
I do.
Has it gone out for bid?
Not quite yet.
Do they use Kenny's specs?
Oh, Mr. Winchell was going to review them and, let Jennifer know.
Yeah, but,
But I know the town administrator is going to put it out to bid as soon as she gets it directed.
No, I don't need to call in an engineering company to know that the lighting and the electrical needs updating in here. I mean, we're looking at conduits, we know that you've got to flick these lights 2 or 3 times to get them on. Okay, that needs to be done. We know the demolition of the old gym building is $15K. Parking lot, we've got no idea yet. On this paper, we have landscape corrections, areas adjacent to the new railings. You have 1 to 2 inch
Oh, you're talking about the leveling of the,
leveling of them, so that could be done with the new parking lot, but that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. Somebody trips, goes down. This kitchen needs to be done over, needs I don't know if you can, Joe, can you fix the well, or do we need a new well in better place?
well, I think if you drill the well close by, you probably run into that salt situation. I'm thinking. What's the thing is, you're gonna go to expensive drilling a well. Is it or isn't it? So, if you put one behind the building, I think you're gonna have to deal with running a line from behind into the building, but it's mostly ledge. So whether you're gonna have to blast a corridor that's 4 or 5 feet down below frost to get your line, if you know what I'm saying, or either that or heat it. So I would have thought that over the years they would have really focused in on securing the water in the building, which you need.
Is what?
Securing the water.
Okay.
Whatever, but they have 2 wells out of there, both are they both salt, or is it one's rust? Both salt, so you see the amount of salt they use, you know, there's nobody's thinking, you know, whatever, so.
We'll be the thinkers, we'll just move on.
I agree. If all goes according to plan, that also in this year's budget is going to be a filtration system for the water to deal with the salt issue.
Well, I was gonna ask about that, I'm glad you're here. At my house, we have it's actually a salt system. Like a solar salt or something.
Water softener?
Water softener,
Yep.
not softener, but, system. I mean, I've had it for 23 years now. And, it cost a pretty penny when we got it, but,
Yeah, those are good for removing rust and odor and,
hard water.
yeah.
And all that. You must be able to get commercial systems
Oh,
that
yes.
would clean up.
Yeah,
They're doing that down to Sanford with their drinking water.
Yeah,
They're taking the drinking water out of all septic waste and purifying it and putting it back out into the drinking system, so you
Yeah.
can take all that stuff out of it.
right.
That's my thought.
yeah. But I'm sure that they've got, I'm sure they got a treatment facility that's,
That's, water treatment plant.
yeah. Yeah, it's not gonna be an under-the-counter unit.
No,
But that's supposed, if all goes well, will be in the budget this year. So hopefully we put that behind us.
okay. So I'm gonna just put like a question mark there, because I know Warren Finance is meeting in the next few weeks, and we're meeting after they do again. So something that might not happen the way we think it will, we can put it on our schedule. And I think for the rest of this stuff, the bathrooms need to be upgraded to ADA standards, which I don't believe they are.
Absolutely not.
And I know there's an issue with getting hot water in the bathroom. This came right from the treasurer. The space in the building as a municipal business office, the space in their building, they are outgrowing it very quickly, very quickly. And she would be surprised if they would need a new complex, calling it that, in the next 15 to 20 years. So it's something to be very mindful of.
Sure.
Because to me, that means in 5 years, we have to start a building fund to look at that. And look at, do we leave this as it is? And just make this the historic hall and the school? The library was the school, right? And make it that? And leave the connections, if you will, I don't know, when were they connected?
Oh, goodness, Tom Chase did it,
About the turn of the century, wasn't it?
was around
Was it?
late 70s, early 80s.
I don't think it was the turn of the century, because I was here then.
That was later than that.
They added on the back of this,
Yeah,
and then they put this bathroom for the connector, and then they built that complex behind the library.
I mean, we gotta look at possibly if they do take down the building and you
I think it was the early 80s.
enlarge parking lot here,
Yeah.
is it possible to go out toward 109? Or is it possible to buy a little bit of land from the church? So you could have a little bit of flexibility behind it and put a leach.
Those are all things that we would have to,
Yeah, well, I mean, this is what
you know,
somebody's gonna be thinking.
we've got to think about that
It's-
a little down the road,
Yeah.
okay? Most
What
definitely.
happens a lot of times is that they just go to a whole new piece of land and build a whole brand-new complex and
Well,
they'll-
that's one of the things, this company that, you know, I've spoken to, someone that Tom Gertie, our selectman, had reached out to. They are the people that can tell us that. You know, and we have land. We actually have land. You know, I mean, I'm not sure how much land we have across the street. Joe, do you know? By the fire station?
Yeah, it's about 5 acres.
If we have 5 acres of land over there, that's a healthy piece of land
Sure.
to put a building on. And even though the fire department's over there, again, I don't want to keep going back to where I came from, but we had a middle school, a fire department, and a town hall all in
It was all one.
complex, you know? Because like Acton, our originals were built back in the early 1800s, you know? Town hall, I think, was 1802 or something like that, you know? So, you know, they preserved that and said, nope, we got to do this. So, good. So I think that's something we're gonna we have to put it on hold, because we really cannot, outside of saying, we should be putting aside some money every year for the municipal complex, building complex, not a new computer or a new, this or that, but for the physical part of it, we should be putting that aside because it's a real necessity. But what amount of money is that going to be? You know, I don't know.
And the building has to be brought up to code with the wheelchair ramps and
Yep.
the whole, I mean, it'll be, you know,
That's
fire
not-
suppression, it'll be like building a new house. I mean, you know,
That's not going to be, that's,
it ain't gonna be cheap.
no, I mean, it's going to make a community centers, ooh, that center's not bad, $10 million if you're looking at a whole new community complex.
It'll be all one building.
It
Yeah.
could be all one building. But again, that's why I think it's important for us to spend a little bit of money, 65 to 100 to, you know, just under 9,000, spend that short money to get some good expert advice.
We're initially, we're investing money in the future of the
We are
town.
investing money in the future.
We have
We're
all this
not,
data to substantiate it
Yeah.
at the same time. In 5 years from now, people can say, wow, this is what they did back in 2022,
yeah,
you know?
Right.
Look at this.
yeah, exactly.
Because I think this is part of the problem we have in the town is we don't have any following.
It has to be, what we put together,
You know, municipal dialogue of what's right and what's wrong and what we're gonna need and what we don't need.
it should be a live document.
Yeah.
What we put forward should be a live document that gets reviewed every year and such. But, so, do you guys agree we can put the municipality aside until maybe when we meet on the 30th?
That's fine.
Okay. Land Use Department. They need a new filing system, physical files. They need three Dell computers, business computers, and those are about $4,500 apiece, and land use and planning programs can go up easily to $5,000, for several different programs that they could use and be very helpful. But they need an office, one for the office, one for the secretary, and one for code enforcement that he would be able to take with him. So when he's doing inspections or whatever,
Sure.
he can and boom, it's immediately back in the office with the land use secretary, and things are going like that. So,
So we're looking at about $30,000 for them.
yeah. So
Is that something they need right away?
it's something that they could, I'm gonna say yes.
I mean, the filing sounded like it was an urgent
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, it really, they could easily do that, The computers would be terrific to have immediately, and the filing system is ridiculous down there. So, I mean, I don't know how they're gonna do it. The transfer station. A lot of talk about the transfer station and the roads lately. As far as the workings, the internal workings of the transfer station, we have to put that on hold because there've been a lot of changes up there. One of the things that we could talk about, since we're advisory, is creating a new exit road from the existing road, which would be about a $30,000 project, I would think, easily. It does not have to be a big hot top road or anything, just a good gravel exit out. The other thing that's been brought up,
The road's already there.
yeah, the road is there.
It just needs to be fixed, and haven't used it for so many years.
Right.
Yeah. The other thing that they've talked about is to put turning lanes coming
To get in there.
to get in and get out, so people could go in and out on the right direction. So, I know that Warrant and Finance is going to be talking to road commissioners tonight, so we might be able to get some ideas from them on what costs could be.
Sure.
But I think, just because we don't see a lot of accidents there, we don't hear about a lot of accidents there, and personally, I don't even think I've seen I've heard a lot of horns beeping, people doing the crisscross thing. And I've seen one or two birds being flown out of a window, but, it's not really,
No, it's just.
but it's a real
we-
safety hazard.
We've
Well,
done a lot of growing.
It goes back to the site itself. Years ago, Ed Hammond, he was a selectman, and he was kind of engineering the thing. As you go on the right-hand side, it's mostly ledge. Ideally, all that deposit of all that trash should be on that side. And then you go forward, and that, perhaps that recycling building should have been advanced down further, or made it so you loop around and come back on the right-hand side with your...
Right.
So you make a loop and you back out again. Because of the nature of, I remember they were digging, they literally took, I remember Burton King was there, they took a shovel and they hit down and hit the ledge. So that ledge
That
would all
much.
have to be taken up to drop those bins down.
Yeah.
Down on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
So that you could do that. So subsequently, they switched it over, which is, it's problematic because you're going out and you don't know whether the people are gonna respect the fact that you are on the wrong side and you're gonna try to get on the right side, or should you stay on the wrong side and let them stay on the wrong side? And hopefully, you don't know. And everybody coming and going's got a different mindset.
Well,
And
yeah,
so-
and, you know, in the summertime, look at the license plates.
Exactly.
You know, we
And
might
they don't-
we might go up there because we're here, and we do this routinely, and we know which side is which, and we know enough to, you know when to give, and you know when to go. But we have so many people who, you know, are not here all the time, you know, the summer people. And, you know, it can be a challenge for some of them. So I think like I said, there's no one here to really speak to them right now, but I do understand from the previous fellow that was, Mr. Mann, that the retaining wall near the construction side dump area needs to be shored up. Again, what you had said about money.
That's for the demo bin or something, that wall there.
Yeah, you know, with the price of lumber today, and I imagine you use lumber to do that, I don't know, not my thing.
I'm not sure. I don't know if they were
I think it's
thinking railroad
concrete.
ties or,
Is it concrete?
yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a concrete
I
wall.
think
A
it's
concrete wall. All right, so
I never really looked at it, so maybe it's starting to fade in, you know.
Pretty old.
well, in keeping what Joe has said now 3 times, we have to look forward to this. You know, if we just don't do anything, we have the same problem. So maybe we're talking about the transfer station, of maybe they need $50,000
Between the road and the,
between a road and,
fixing that wall.
and fixing that wall.
True.
And also, Joyce, myself, not this year, but last year, they need more storage space. All the stuff that they bail,
Oh, yes,
there isn't enough room in there.
okay,
However, they accomplish it, but they do need to be available.
okay.
It's fine when we put it up, but
Right.
everything's different now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've grown a lot.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly, I mean,
So whether that be an addition on the building or a whole new building, I have
right.
no idea.
Yeah, and if any of you watched the last selectmen meeting, the Acton Mall maybe should be a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, so you're looking at another, at today's prices, you know, a minimum of, 300,000 per building,
Yeah,
minimum.
Yeah.
If you just add it on to that.
right,
Yeah,
That's not much money. Above and beyond the road and.
Right.
You know, so you're looking at 450,000 minimum for work that needs to be done up there. That's my thoughts anyway.
yeah. We all are gonna get this, you know,
It's all gonna change before it's all finalized, for that show.
absolutely. Oh, yeah,
we're just putting it on the plate.
exactly. Exactly. I'm sorry, guys.
So the next thing's gonna be the rec department.
The rec department. Okay. Now, there's been some talk, and in fact, the selectmen suggested that they wait to see what comes from us. And they need proper water stations for the kids to get drinks. They need proper toilets for the kids. I think those 2 things alone are, let's just bite those 2 things alone right now before we go on. Again, there's water there.
Yep.
So that should be able, we should be able to put in proper toilets and a concrete building. I don't know if you've ever been to Old Orchard Beach. At the end of the pier of Old Orchard Beach, I think it's 25 cents. You can go into a ladies' room or a men's room, much bigger than we need, but they're concrete slab buildings. They're lockable. They have air exchange, they have windows, they have absolutely no paper. They have hand dryers, so there's not a lot of, mess to keep up. But for children, I think if you had, like girls, you've got 2 toilets, girls and women. Men, you've got a toilet and a urinal. You have 2 sinks, so total of 4 sinks. You should be able to do that. But again, what's that gonna cost us to do? But at a minimum, I'm sure when these kids go out of town for other games, they must think sometimes like, wow, they've got this, they've got that there. I believe there's not even, the last I heard, there's not even electricity in the shack, the selling shack, whatever it's called, concession building?
Yeah, there is.
There is?
The only thing that hasn't been put in there is lights.
Well, okay, then I will take back what I said. There, you can plug things in there, but you don't have any lights, so you can't see the plugs. I mean, you need lights. I don't care how, I don't care how sunny the day is. I think that is a priority thing, getting water and bathrooms for those kids. And I think just talking about them, we're talking about 50 grand.
Do we also need to come up with potential operating costs? Because once we have an actual facility, it's gonna need to be either heated or winterized every winter, so that the pipes don't get frozen.
Well, it's gonna have, I would think, since they go skating, I don't know, maybe it does need to be winterized.
I would think they would winterize, just like you're saying.
Yeah.
But that's less spray installation. That's our factor. And if it was me, I'd probably look at putting in those heat pumps.
Well, if you put a heat pump in,
Energy efficient.
Right.
and you've got air, AC and heat with a heat pump.
Well, I was talking about just shutting them down like you would a camp and
Right.
winterizing the pipes and everything so nothing freezes, because you're not gonna really be using it in the wintertime. I mean, I know we do the skating thing, but
I think the cost of, if you put in one of those heat pumps, I don't really think it could cost that much,
Probably not.
I really don't.
Probably not.
I know people that put them in, and it's negligible.
But I think,
Something to think about.
I think it is. Now, don't forget, the rec department is sitting on 29, call it 29.5, 29,404 right now. But I do believe they need to have more money, because I would frankly like to see the kids have that within the next 2 years.
yeah.
Which means they need to have more money put in. Now, just on those 2 things. Now, I'm leaving the best for last, I guess. Proper parking lot. That's being talked about right now.
But that's gonna be in front of us.
That's gonna be in front of, okay, warrant and finance, so that can hold off. They could use a proper storage building. When they've had to store things, or used to store things down here, I don't remember how many years ago, it might have been, I think it was before COVID, so 3.5, 4 years ago. All of the uniforms that were in there were covered with mold. All of the equipment was moldy, because that building is not, the the cinder blocks and everything are compromised. It's not moisture proof. So they could use, you know, down the road, this doesn't have to be, I would not put this in,
I think it does.
what?
I think that is going to be an immediate thing,
Why do you think that?
because right now, they're still storing all this stuff in the old fitness center. And if we take that fitness center down this summer,
Right, where's it gonna go?
where's it gonna go? You got all your sports equipment, you got uniforms.
Okay, so now we're going to enlarge our toilets building from being this big to being this big, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, one building
Here's what it is.
over here, I mean, what would a building be? I'm not terribly good at measurements, but if, you had a 20-foot building for the bathrooms, 20 by 12, and you put 10 by 10 on top of that or something.
Well, the storage room they're using down there is the old furniture room, and that's gonna be, off the top of my head, at least 12 by 14 or 16 or something, and that, I've lugged up in and out of there, and it's pretty full.
Okay, then I'm gonna say those three things are gonna add $100,000 in the next year or two. What do you think? Joe, you're writing things down. Would you think that for the kids, the toilets in the storage room?
Well, I think that they're gonna do the parking lot. Is that right? Is it-
Yeah, but
This year, they're gonna do the parking lot?
Yes, that's
This year.
number one.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be behind, so the next thing would be a structure
yeah,
that they could go, and they'd probably have to winterize it.
well, yeah, but we could, you know,
I
okay.
mean, as far as dollars and cents, in this day and age, I wouldn't do so. You'd have to have a plan. Is it, 30 by 30? Is it 25 by 25? Or is it,
Once again, that's where the engineer would come into.
That's where the engineer would come in handy.
how you heating it, or is it,
Yep.
Okay,
It's one more thing that the town's gonna take responsibility in owning and maintaining,
right.
so.
Okay, so we did that. Now, the biggie, which I hope comes up with a little less confusion, is a director of recreation. And what I've seen right now is like a stipend. Okay, so we start with a stipend. And I'm talking too much tonight, guys, I apologize.
Not that, no.
We got a lot to go through.
Yeah, and we, going in on time, I'll tell you. We have, if you pay somebody a stipend, that's what you're paying them. They know they're gonna work during this season, whatever they are. Baseball season, soccer season, ice skating season, okay? And they're gonna have responsibilities, but they're gonna get paid X amount of dollars a year to be the director, that's their stipend. I don't need you to break it down into, well, what's the hourly rate? Doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter. This is the stipend. You're gonna pay this guy $12,000 a year, $10,000, $15,000, I don't care, as long as he's there when he needs to be here. If we have that director, then we have somebody who, yes, can be responsible to make sure the gate's locked, the toilet facilities are locked like they should be. It takes care of it, but that's something that's in the works right now, so I think it could take care of a whole lot of things. Just my opinion.
I know that was something that got brought up pretty, I'm not sure the right word to use, but it was pretty heartfelt, like.
Discussion.
It was a need.
Yeah,
not a
definitely.
want.
Well, I
because
think,
of all the responsibilities that they're all juggling.
I think that the people who are doing the rec work now need a big hand of gratitude from everybody in town. Because basically, we've got 2 ladies, and then we have a gentleman running the
Rink.
skating rink, which, and without them, you know, they deserve a huge thank you for what they do. And I think if we can help them, we should. But, so I'm gonna put them down for that.
But that's all the more reason to have this engineer, because he can give you, instead of listening to things long what something needs or what cost is.
Right.
You can have a professional person, which in reality, in the end, is gonna save you a lot of money.
Right.
Absolutely, it's an investment in the community. Okay, the community needs, the next thing. When this was first written, it was cost out at 2.5 to 5 million. That was before we heard about what Wakefield was doing. You know, they're 5 to 7, so that's why, looking at it, it would be a $10 million. And I did put that under community rather than municipality or recreation. I just created a different little slot for it because I think it needs its own home.
Once again, you've got a reason how you come up with that dollar amount now.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Right.
You can defend it.
yeah. And that, you know, one of the things that does not happen, I only know of it happening once here. When I came on the up to Acton, I was on the fire and rescue. I was on the rescue, I take the rescue, and we were strictly volunteer. And we needed money one time, and I mean, it was volunteer. And I said, for God's sakes, we have 5 or 6 banks in town. Why don't we just write letters to the banks saying that, you know, we're looking for grants, or there are grants out there that we can get. And I think we need to have somebody, you know, that would look for grants. Because when you're doing a thing like a community center, even working with insurance companies and other people like that, you can find money. So we need to be willing to, oh, for heaven's sakes, fella. Someone just, I think it's one of ours just came in driving a little bit wacky. Oh, no, it's no, someone leaving, doesn't matter. But can we put $1 million a year aside for a community center? What are we gonna do with the tax base? Who knows?
Yeah.
We're looking at a lot of money.
Yes, we are.
You know, they're gonna be surprised. And one of the things for justification is a lot of this stuff should have been maintenance that was done before, and it was never done. You know, it was never done. So we're cleaning it up now. But, so we have to come up with a community need for the community center, $10 million. We'd like to see it in 10 years. How much money are we gonna put aside for that?
Myself personally, I wouldn't be opposed to borrowing that money on the thing, you know.
Yeah.
The thing is, it'd be just like it was with the school. When the school decided to put that last addition on, and the same thing the addition before, then you get a building committee together, and hopefully the building committee will come up with some kind of plan on exactly what you're looking for, and then you'll have a lot closer idea of what the cost is.
Yep. Exactly.
Well, who should do grants?
You know, you can get a grant writer, you can hire a grant writer, or a lot of grants, when you apply for the grant, they tell you what to do and what to write. And if you follow the instructions, I know our librarian has gotten grants for the library. Not that it's easy at all, I'm not saying it's easy, but sometimes maybe investing in a grant writer or having somebody take a class in grant writing. And I believe MMA actually has some classes and things like that. You know, there is, even as things are today, there's money out there that people want to give away.
I mean, Ricky's got some grants. The school's always getting grants.
Yeah,
I mean, even way back when I worked there, we got several grants. One was to remove the asbestos in the building.
right,
You know, I mean, there's all kinds of, but
right.
again, I mean, I believe City of Sanford doesn't grant writer. That's a
Oh,
problem.
I'm sure they do, I'm sure they do.
Is this something that the capital improvement committee would do?
Write grants? Well, I suppose it's something we could do, but is it something,
Is it in the description that you guys got?
yes, it is in our description. Writing grants is in our description.
I'm not saying you should do it, I'm just wondering.
No, it is, in fact, they're in this booklet, whoops, that's Warren Finance. In this, there are several ways of getting money. I mean, this is the program we use, and there, you know, how do you get your money for this or that? So anyway, but, now the last one is town and road needs. Warren Finance is meeting with the road people tonight. We have the, what they gave us, we have those. So I suggest we put that off until our next meeting as well.
Yeah, we've been over that
So
quite a
you
bit.
know, the bridge down the mop, I have the price tag on it from 2 years ago, 1.2 million.
Yes,
You know that price tag.
yeah, right.
I don't know if the road commission is gonna elaborate on that or not,
And the West Shore is still up in the air because there was a change of engineers. But that one, I am believing there could be many ways of going around that one. And I think, you know, at one point it was around the $1 million mark, but knowing things have changed and some things that have happened recently, I'm willing to bet that could be closer to 250,000 or less, you know, with a ready-made, pre-made replacement bridge.
but they did on the canal. Just like they did on the canal.
Yes, just like that.
Went together pretty slick.
Yeah, that was pretty slick. I mean, you know, and hopefully this time there wouldn't be as much controversy. So, okay, what do we have time-wise? It's 5:36. There's a 6 o'clock meeting in here. On the Acton Elementary School, they have, which is, one thing's gonna be on there, a couple of things are gonna be on their budget. One is they need another boiler, a new one. They are gonna need a new freezer, but it's kind of come forward that their dishwasher is singing its swan songs. It's on the way. So they perhaps need a little infusion for the,
You're talking 10,000, I think, for that. I think that's what John said to put on there.
20, they got 20 listed.
20, okay.
They've got 20 listed. So, but that'll be a different issue on this. So anyway, but I think, all these things we can now let them go till our next meeting, which will be on the 30th.
This 30th of this month?
Let me, I talked to Jennifer. Yeah, the 30th of this month, which is back to a Wednesday.
Yep.
And I will let you know if there's a change. So,
Because if my memory serves me right, you guys are gonna have stuff hopefully ready to present to the Board of Selectmen the first part of April.
yep, we are. We're just, we're just gonna have this kind of discussion again, and then we're gonna put it all together. And we'll do the descriptive part of it as to how we came up with these numbers, what they're all about, and then there'll be like spreadsheets showing everything, year, and how we've gone forward with it, and that. So, I think we're coming down to the wire, and I'll tell you, these guys, and Kim's not back, but have done a phenomenal job of, we lost 2 members, we were 5 people on the committee. We lost 2 members, and Kim has been coming in and coming out, our liaison, all the time. And the guys that were here that we lost for, their own reasons, they did a great job, and these guys have just kicked in, so it's a great committee. And I know I talk a lot, but,
Not as much as I do.
well, anything, so, guys, meeting adjourned?
Meeting adjourned.
Very good, thank you. Thank you